Hi everyone, it's Dexter from A2K. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar, What's New in Civil 3D 2021.1. So technical consultant Dean will be presenting for us today. At A2K, we're all about fostering innovation through consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education, consulting, and IT managed services. We're working with visionaries to shape the future of design and in turn enable them through innovation to minimize risks, improve productivities, and achieve excellence. A2K Technologies is considered the business partner of choice and trusted advisor by vendors and clients. We partner with major software and hardware vendors to meet our clients' technology needs. We strive to exceed client expectations by understanding the challenges and delivering solutions through experience and innovation. We work with clients and companies of any size nationally and abroad. Over to you, Dean.
Thanks, Dexter. Okay, so today we're looking at InfraWorks 2021.1, the incremental release, the first one of those for this year. So what it is these days are not doing each year a big release, a big update with every new yearly version that comes out, basically with the new fixes new features every year. But rather than doing just bug fixes throughout the year, they're actually incrementally releasing those new components throughout the year. So there's not one big one you have to learn for each new version that comes out. It's just a slow incremental change with the new tools that they're adding in over time. So with the 2021.1 version, there's a couple of little extra change to the start page. Might be useful. Some Featureline bits and pieces, corridors running off feature lines, little new command in there. A couple of changes around the ArcGIS connector if anybody's using that. We'll have a look at that, and if you haven't seen that, you'll at least be able to see what that is. Some additions to the pressure pipe tools. They're still being updated and worked on, or implemented and worked on. Then a little bit of change up in BIM 360, things people have been asking for a little while, and some bands in the long section for rail that we'll look at finally. So I like to have my webcasts as a PowerPoint free zone, as do many people. And so without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So let me go and find my Civil 3D here. And we shall go and first of all look at the start page. So back on the start page here, this is the normal screen you would have seen before. They added in end of 2020, I think it was, the ability to see your BIM 360 documents. If you're using BIM 360, you can see those here now in that group. But the new thing is this little button up the top here, which shows all your drawings and thumbnails. So rather than having to look through the names and try and remember the names, especially if they've just got a project number on them, this might be useful to you to be able to go and pick the one you want very easily. That did also work with my BIM 360s a little while ago, but that was when I was actually using my drawings up on BIM 360. We'll have a try and see if it's cached them or not. Yes, it does. Okay, cool. So you have that for there as well. I'm going to go back to my recents. In fact, I'm going to go back to my new. All right, so that's all there is on the start page. As I say, just little incremental changes they're making. And most of these today are going to be little incremental changes that you've now got. So the first thing I want to go on to next will be the Featureline changes or new little tools that have come in. So let me make a couple of feature lines here. What am I going to do? Polyline. One. We're just going to cross these and turn these into feature lines. So I'm going to create a feature line. Oh, sorry, feature line from objects, isn't it? And grab that one and that one. Give them a name. They're both going to go into the same site. For this particular command, which is relating to the crossing feature lines, they do have to be in the same site to use this command. We'll give them names though, and that should be it. Okay, so now we've got two feature lines here. Now the new command is where they cross. You've got this button up here. Oh, I did forget to mention, this is being recorded and will go up on YouTube after the session for anybody that you want to give a link to go and have a look at this themselves later, or for your own refreshing as well. So it's this button here. It's the new one, insert points at crossing locations. So if I select that and tell it I want a, in fact we can do, let's do, jump out of there for a second. Let's actually make a couple of crossing points, shall we? Just for the heck of it, because we'll do multiples. If we select those, we can select, no, we can't select both of them. We'll select one of them. Go insert points at crossing locations. Do we want an elevation point or a point of intersection? You can choose. I'm going to go to point of intersection, and now it's put a point of intersection in both of those feature lines. That's why they have to be in the same site. They need to be able to see each other and knows which ones get compared against each other. The reason you might want to do that, well, let's go and have a look. In the object view, actually, we didn't get these at different height, did we? Yeah, let's do that. So let's back out a moment. Let's go back to my crossing there. Okay, so again, cross it down there. Down here. Okay. Give this one an elevation. Just a move command on it. And displacement. And go, oops. 0, 0, about 10 meters. Try that again. And so now we should see those two in the object viewer. Seems not nearly enough. Okay. The drawn is really big. There we go. Okay, so you can see that they actually do interfere in the same way as they normally would before we put these points in, because that's what Featureline does. They're on the same site, so they will interfere. You run the command. We want the PIs in there, and it's put points of intersection into both of them. They will still look the same in the object viewer. But before we didn't really have control over which one goes up and hits which one. But now, when we select, say this one wants to stay, we want that to stay down at 0 elevation, we can use the elevation editor, or whichever way we like, and we can, I thought we could change that to be a 0, and that to be a 0. So let's change that one. No, we might need to go back to the original. No, we actually need to go back to the original. To this one here. Now that we've got a PI there at those crossing points, we can actually go and edit that one. Find. And set the ones that we want down to 0. So whether it's going to help you a great deal or not. I mean, you could have done this manually. It will allow you, though, to at least not have to put it in yourself. It just is a bit of an automatic command for that. One thing I did notice, though, so now we're down at 0 on that flat bottom one there. One thing I did notice is that it's not, those are actually fixed. So they do actually end up as fixed points. So if I actually grab both of those and do a move command of, say, 200 on those, 0, 0, 200, it will have moved the other parts, but these ones all stayed at that initial 0 point that they were set to. So they actually become fixed points rather than movable. If you move both feature lines, the actual crossing points stay fixed. So little command there, might find it useful at times, probably not for everything. The other one is, and this might be interesting to some as well, polyline running through here, another polyline running through here, and I'm going to snap those together. If I'd convert these into feature lines, I'll do them one at a time this time because I'm going to put one of them in the none site. So that'll go in site 1, and we'll call it 1, and go OK. This one I'm going to put in the none site. So we'll put it in there, we'll put it in the none site, or whatever other site you want, so that they don't interfere with each other if we don't want them to. Okay, and that one, let's put it a different elevation, I suppose. Again, we'll put it up 100. So move place 0, 0, 100. All right, and so we've got these two at different elevations. Now, what the idea behind this is you can grade actually all the way along this feature line and then continue the grading along that one. So I'm going to put it fairly steep. I'm going to put a 50% slope all the way along that, but it will adjust this one even though they're in different sites. So let's go and have a look. You go and pick your feature line. It's this button. This is the new one. So set grade slope across feature lines, multiple, not single. That's grade between points. This is across feature lines. So if I pick that, it says it wants to know the start point. I'm going to pick that one. It's got an elevation of 100, so I get enter. And what you actually do, you need to trace. You can't just go to the end. You've got to actually trace down through the vertexes that it's going to trace this command to. Looks like you actually do have to snap them, so that there's an elevation difference there. That's a new one for me. So if I unsnap that and snap it onto there, then it should trace if it's at the same elevation. So let's check my elevation. It should be at 0, which it is. And so run the command. From there, start point, enter, goes from there to there, to there, to there, and then traces down through. Okay, so it looks like the elevation does need to match where they crossed to begin with. So I'm going to trace through there. And the grade, I'm going to put minus 50%, so it's nice and steep when we have a look in the object viewer. Now, we will find, should find, in the object viewer that there is our polyline that has the 50% grade there, running down, 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 and the 50% grade continues along another feature line down there. This one's back at its original elevation at 0. It just snaps into it. So grading along multiple feature lines is what it does. And just make sure you, obviously, as I found out just then, snap the two ends together. Still on the feature lines, let's get rid of that, I'll speed things up. On the feature lines idea or new commands, let me go and open up the drawing. Oh, by the way, as we're going, if you've got questions, you can write them in the Q&A or the chat box, and if we get time at the end, we'll have a look at those. I'm not going to say changes there, but I am going to go and open Featureline corridor. All right, so this is a corridor running along a Featureline. My assembly is over here, and this is representative of maybe a building pad or something. They are at different elevations, but at the moment that corridor is just running horizontally at a particular elevation. The idea behind this is that the feature line that this corridor is running along, the vertexes of it, you can set the elevation relative to an object. So if I pick that initial feature line there, there's two vertexes here. You do need a vertex. It sets the vertex levels, not partway in between. So you need to put a new vertex partway in between if that's what level you wanted to set. So based on the floor level of whatever this building or whatever it is happens to be, we might want a 5% slope out to this point, and some other slope. It'll be a flatter slope out to that one if we want this whole edge to be 5% off the corner. You would need to do a calculation for that. So 5% and something less than 5% out to there. However, let's just show you how it works. Picking that feature line is the new button here, which is set corridor baseline elevation by reference. Now, I think it does have to be a corridor, I believe. It's only if it talks about being a corridor anyway, running off the feature line. So let's go and do it. Set it by reference, specify the reference point, so you want to snap onto there, and you want your O-snaps turned on so you can pick your endpoint of your feature line. There it is, there. And the grade, let's make it -5%, so it's a 5% slope away from the building on that point. Then you would, that just does that single point. If you've got another point or some other part along the feature line, you also want to be at 5%, well, 5% relative to that for the ramp or something. This would be, what, 1.5% or something like that out to there. So we do the command again for that vertex. So set baseline by reference, that's our reference point, going out to there at slope of -1.5. All right, so having a look at this thing, picking the corridor again and the platform, the object viewer, we've now got the heights of that set by those reference grades from that object. The rest of the corridor and feature line is just going back down to its original elevation and position, basically to the next vertex. The thing about this though, it is non-dynamic, it's a one-off. So if I move that platform, say back down to 0, so I pick that and go properties, back down to elevation of 0, the corridor won't go with that. So if I do a regen, REA, if I rebuild my corridor, by picking both of these in the object viewer, it stays at that original position. So just be aware of that. It's neither really good nor bad. That's just the way it's working at present. You may want it to be able to do that. So based on that, let's go and have a look at the next thing, which would be, just before we move off that, I'll just make a note here. There are a lot of provisos around this particular function. If you want to find out where they are, go into your help files, go into what's new in Civil 3D and the updates to 2021. And there's the feature lines I just did. Actually, that's part of the feature lines there. There's the ones I was just talking about. Here's the reference I've been doing. but there is a, for more information, to set the elevation of Featureline based on corridor line reference is there. It tells you about what I've just been showing you more or less, but down the bottom here are the tips and the things you need to, if it's not working or if it's not making sense, go and have a look at these. These are the provisos that are required for this to actually work. So just go and have a look at that if something isn't working properly. It's probably listed there. Okay, next. Let's close that one. We will go and have a look at the new drawing. So the next thing to look at was the ArcGIS, an improvement made to that. So for those who haven't seen it before, this is part of the collaboration between Autodesk and Esri. Being able to, for Autodesk products, or at least Civil 3D at this point in time. I think some of the others may be able to do it. InfraWorks does, things like that. To be able to read the published ArcGIS information. So if I go to the Insert tab, we've got Autodesk Connector for ArcGIS. Take a moment just to log me in for that, or it'll ask my credentials otherwise. Okay, so here we are, and if I want to search by location, I don't know, I've got some data in here for me and Nelson here. Set that as my map extent, and it will go and start searching that area for any data that might be available. And there's a whole bunch of stuff that is published throughout the world. This is just standard or Esri published data, but under my content here, I've got some stuff I personally put up on there. And let's grab the Nelson City Council pipes. So this is a way that people with an ArcGIS system can publish their data onto the web, so people can access it. And this is a little bit of data with some pipes that I've put up there myself as an example. But they are actually data from the Nelson City Council that I got a while ago. So we say we want to grab that layer that's been published and is publicly available, or at least available to people with this login. If we want to see those, I think we can turn them on. There we go. So it's just in this little area here is the pipes. I can say I want them to be, what I want them to be when I bring them into Civil 3D. I want them to be gravity pipes. They could be any of these other things, but I'm going to go gravity pipes. And I'm going to add them to my design project. What's the coordinate system first? Of course it does. So let's go and put it on NZTM or something like that. So New Zealand. New Zealand transverse Mercator. Okay. Now it should run the command for me. Now, any data from the GIS information, such as the pipe diameter, we can map. So that wants to go into there. This particular data doesn't have elevation data, I believe. I just scanned through that again, but I don't think it does. No, it doesn't. So it's actually just 2D data, but that's okay. It will still bring them in. We go okay. And it will create those in my drawing. Just give it a minute to finish, just takes a moment to do. Obviously it's a web connection that's reading them from. There we go. Do a zoom extents. Now there is something I noticed. It didn't used to do this, but I noticed when I started doing this, for this webcast, is that a whole bunch of the pipes end up curved. And I don't believe that they are. I don't believe that it's even getting the curve the wrong way. I don't think that's right. What I think it's doing, and I need to talk to Autodesk about this, is that, for instance, this pipe here, I had a look in the ArcGIS information. It's not actually a curved pipe. It's a pipe that's not, it's like a polyline with 3 vertexes. One vertex here. The other one was pretty much here somewhere. And this one was actually straight. So it was actually a line that went from there to there and there to there. But this, because it had 3 vertexes, it's decided to arc it. I think these other ones are the same. So I need to go and have a talk to Autodesk about that and get that fixed up. But the advantage in doing this is that when we bring it in, if I go and have a look at the AutoCAD properties, is it here? There we go. Under the extended data, we're getting all the information that came through from the GIS information. So who owned it, what it was, the pipe size diameter and things. We can see the pipe size diameters are actually working with the different pipe sizes here. There's a big one out in the street. There's 100 mil and 200 or 300 mil pipe there. Just going to have a look at, can't we? 300, yep. So we could do this before. However, what we can do now is if we add a new pipe onto here, so I can just go edit the pipe network. If there's more as-built information that we're adding in, we can do that and build it into this drawing. Then we'll be able to publish it back to the ArcGIS. Now, there was an issue with that previously. Let me just reset this to the right parts list. Okay, and we want a null structure join, shall we say, and let's have another 300 pipe. And I can run this from here to there and join to there. Okay, so we may have, survey information that will be snapping to points and things and putting these pipes in the right place. Now, if we published this previously back to ArcGIS, it didn't go onto that same layer in the published data. But now we've got the option to pick these things, and in the right-click menu, we've got Move to ArcGIS Layer. This is the new function. So it'll end up being the same layer as these pipes as ArcGIS looks at it. So we've got those 2 pipes. They're going onto the NCC pipes layer, which is the data that I accessed to bring it down into this drawing. Go OK. Let's move those to them, and then we can go into the data source manager here, and we can save them back to the data source. I'm not going to do that in this case. I don't want to change that data source from what it was, but that will now add that to the actual data source up on the published ArcGIS web interface. All right, so it's just that new function, select them, right-click, and get the ability to add them to an ArcGIS layer. All right, while on the pipes side of things, let's go and have a look at, they have added some extra functionality into the pressure pipes. I'll keep that up for the moment. So let's go and open a drawing here, pipe start. Now, pressure pipes, I think it was when 2021 came out, they started bands working with them, which is something we've been asking for years. Well, not for years, but for as long as they've been building these things. The same restrictions still apply to them. They are still very, very hard to make your own catalogs and parts for these things. For those who haven't seen them, we'll show you a bit of a demonstration. It's not quite there yet. In these bands, I have a request out with Autodesk at the moment. The band information such as the pipe type, so getting the type of that pipe or its size down in the bands isn't working at the moment. Likewise, the structure, or the fitting, I should say, sizes down into the bands also not functional at the moment, although you could put a label up in here next to the actual objects which can access that data. but that just won't go into the bands at the moment. Other than that, I've made up some bands here. Hopefully in the next version of the country kit, we'll have some of these. I've just done these quickly to access the pressure pipes, as it's a new function. However, what they have had in the past is this concept of what's now called a pipe run. So let me just show you what those are and how they get used and what the two new commands for those pipe runs is. So if I pick that pipe that I've done already, pressure pipe, I can add a new pipe run. We're going to call this the name demo. And we will use our ANZ catalog. This is a sample catalog. It's really not much in it. This is what I was saying. The catalogs are quite limited at the moment, which has always been an issue with it. And that they're very hard to make yourself. The reference surface will be EG. We want a profile to follow. It's going to be 2 meters underground. We're not going to have a reference alignment. Okay, so default cover of 2 meters there. Going to go OK, and we can start by joining into that pipe there. Come off at an angle. Now, the two new functions are these ones here. Now, what it used to do, if I just turn that off for a moment, is as you laid this thing out, turn off my O-snaps, it would put in some angles for you, but you never really knew if that was the right angle for your fitting, your 45-degree bend or your 90-degree bend or whatever it happens to be, or if it was a bit off. So that's what these things are. If I turn them on, you've got the, it looks at the catalog that is in the background here, the generic catalog, if you like, and finds all the fitting sizes for that particular pipe size and says, okay, there's the angles, the bend angles you can have. If you don't want it to snap, you can turn that off and you can actually put it partway in between one of these. It won't complain, but you just use this as a reference. So, you might go kind of close to 90 degrees, assuming you can get a bit of bend out of the pipe and pop it there. Or you can turn the snapping on and it will only let you go exactly at those angles. Which is good. And it's actually something I didn't really like just trying to eyeball it. So being able to have this is actually a pretty good little reference. Let's go back uphill and out to here. When you go enter, it puts those in for you. And the nice thing about these, they do have actual fittings on the actual pipes. So if I pick that one, that one, that one, have a look in the object viewer. Oops, grab the pipe run there at the same time. They are actually 3D fittings and pipes, which is nice. But there was always the limitation before that the long sections could never have any bands that access the data. We're getting that. We're pretty close now. Yeah, hopefully by 2022 version, we'll actually have these bands in the country kit. So the thing about these pipe runs is that when you pick it, or pick a pipe, it actually picks the whole run and allows you to adjust it. So if, well, let's have a look first at what it did. This one that I first sort of guessed the angle for, you can see that I got kind of close, but the green pipe here is a bit off the flange here and a bit into the flange there. So it's not actually joined it, neatly and tidily. That's not bad. And probably this first one won't be 90-degree bend exactly. Yeah, that's sort of crossing into the flange there, or into the fitting there. Not too bad. I mean, yeah, as long as you've got plenty of angles, you're okay. But if you only had 90-degree angles and you're trying to get a 45, it would be quite a big mess. These ones have got other angles in between that gets used, obviously. So the thing about these is you can adjust them. So if I want to take that from a 90-degree bend and say, well, actually, if I bring it to here, I can get a lesser angle bend rather than a 90, it will actually swap them for you. Even though we're eyeballing it, and well, that's not a bad eyeball, actually. It had a fitting very, very close to that angle that I was using, and it put it in there. Although, if I move that to somewhere over here somewhere, it's not going to do so well before it switches to the next fitting size. So, pluses and minuses, but having these two when you're laying it out at least is good. All right, what we can also do is we'll just show you those bands while we've got time to look at those. Make a long section out of that. So selecting that pipe run, we've got a button that says pipe run profile up in the ribbon here. So I'm going to click on that to make a long section. You can actually tell it to run along a what's going to make an offset profile underneath the ground surface. So I'll do offset at fittings only. The reference surface will be, reference profile is going to be that one. Fine. The offset distance is 2 meters below the EG. Okay. Can have it as a dynamic update, and we'll make a new profile view. We'll go OK. We'll start making the profile view. So I go pipe 5 times exaggeration. Go next through all of those. Display options. Where's that's the demo profile. So it should be this one here. Should be my EG, and that will be on a style of EG. I can put the other one on to whatever style I want. I'll leave it as a white line for now. There's the pressure pipes it's going to put along that run. And finally, data bands. Here's my little demonstration data band that I made up. Go create profile view and put it over to the side. Now, what we'll find is that to begin with, the bands don't have any information in. Through that wizard, it doesn't actually pick up the bands for the pipes, but if you select it by itself would be a good thing. Go into the profile view properties again. This data source becomes available here, which is what I was looking for before, but it's not actually in that wizard on the way through. It's going to be the water data source. I'm pretty sure I called it the water network when I first created that first pipe run. There we go. And so we're getting that information showing up here. Now the nice thing, we got that. Okay. We might, it's going to be tricky to get that there, but we'll see if we can move it. Okay, let's see if we can actually make one of these a bit longer. Let's take that one, crop edit that, and take it right out to here. Okay, that should do. All right, what I wanted to show was for editing these things, when you pick it, it gives you a line that is an offset, yes, your 2 meter offset below the EG. But also, just to edit or change this, I told it to give me my cover at the ends. So that's what I've got. But we might find that the actual cover, minimum cover, halfway along the pipe, which is actually, you can see it here, that's where we're going actually less than 2 meters. That is showing us the actual minimum cover along the length of the pipe there. So we've got 2 meters or so at the end, or more. It's minimum cover, but we've got that here is where it's actually encroaching. So if I wanted to, I could actually, well, these are stuck to the, they should be. There we go. Stuck to that profile. Maybe I need my steps turned on for that one. So as I move it around, that profile around actually changes the pipe. So it's an easy way to change your pipes. But partway along here, we can see we're actually too low there. So if we bring this end down a bit, now we should see our, there we go, along the length of it. The minimum is 2.025, which is one of these ends probably. No, it'll be another point along here somewhere. Oh no, it'll be here. That's the minimum, but we're over 2 meters. So that's quite a nice little feature. do have to be a little bit careful playing around with these things. I have had them lose association, but as an up-and-coming feature, it's pretty cool. What I'd like is to have, well, still, and I do have a ticket out with Autodesk at the moment, is to have the pipe type, the actual diameters and type of pipe being able to be reported in the bands as well. But also, and we could have another band up the top here showing the, or wherever you wanted it, showing the fitting type as well, what angle the bends are, would be nice too. All right. In terms of getting a catalog for these things, we only have, where are we? Yeah, these two. The ANZ sample catalog and the standard, and they're pretty much the same. It's just a duplicate. And there's not a lot in them in terms of the actual pipes you can choose. We've got ductile iron. We do have some other, this is the ductile iron catalog. We do have about 2 other catalogs, but they're, the American sizings and tend to be fairly large. I have converted the pipe catalog from Plant 3D, which has lots and lots. That's the Australian New Zealand pipe catalog from Plant 3D. Lots and lots of pipe sizes, lots and lots of fitting sizes standard for this part of the world. What they don't have is the appurtenances. Well, we don't actually have any in this particular group anyway, which are things like the valves and hydrants and those sorts of things that can go on it. But we do have pipes and fittings, or I do. So if you're wanting that catalog, drop us a line. I'll give you, at the end of this webcast, there'll be a couple of links or a couple of emails that you can drop a line to, and I can give you that catalog. It's going to be as is, where is, because it's not complete. I'm still talking to Autodesk about the appurtenances and getting those in. At the moment, they won't translate from Plant 3D, which is a bit of an annoyance. However, it will at least give you a start. So let us know if you're wanting those. All right, that is pressure pipes. Yeah, and it puts in these little T's and everything else. They're all coming as part of the catalog. It knows it needs something in there, so it goes and finds one for that particular size of pipe and puts it in, which is nice. Okay, that's pipes. Pressure pipes, I should say, and pipe prints. The next thing to look at, 2 more things before the end of time. Okay, let's have a look at BIM 360 changes. So, where are we going with that? Let's start a new drawing. Actually, probably didn't need to do that. BIM 360, I've done a number of webcasts on that, so I'm not really going to go into that in big detail. It's a place where you can collaborate with others using, for a big project, be they using AutoCAD, be they using Revit, be they using InfraWorks. It can all be stored in one location. You can actually see it all up on there. I think I have it here. It's actually a web interface to it here. This is BIM 360 document management and stores all the data up on there, and it could be worked on by multiple people. What people have been asking for in here is the ability to use sheet sets. It'll cope with XREFs, it'll cope with data shortcuts. The sheet sets, it didn't, but now it does. So let's just do a little demonstration of that. So if I open a sheet set, here's my sheet set manager. Go and open one. We can now navigate to BIM 360. And this sheet set is stored up on BIM 360. So it won't be that one, it'll be here. It's okay, my project. It'll be in a webcast project, 2021.1 sheet set, and there it is, the DST file. Open that one. Now, what you would need to do is tell it when you open it to lock it, so that when it's you've got it open and you're working on the sheet set, nobody else can open it and make changes and override they might have it open. You make some changes, they save theirs and overwrites the changes that you made. So there is a new command they put into Civil 3D here, and it is called enable DST lock. So ENABLED, enable DST locks. That's a new one in 2021.1. You go enter, and by default it's on 0. It's turned off normally. So if you want to be able to work with these, just go into enable DST lock and type in value of 1, go enter, and then when you open it, if I come back to my BIM 360, Civil 3D projects. Oh, here we go. Sheet set. There, it's now got a block next to it. I have it open, and other people will need to ask me to close it before they'll be able to modify and work with that sheet set. So we can actually open drawings from here, as you would expect. So I'll go into sheet 5. Again, it's running across the net, so it's not going to be as fast as off your local machine, of course. But it does give you the collaboration ability. And so, when this finishes doing a regen, there's my drawing. Now, this drawing is actually stored up on BIM 360 as well. I don't think you can mix and match. You certainly can't with the data shortcuts. So I think if the sheet set's up on BIM 360, the actual sheets, the drawings will need to be on BIM 360 as well. All right, and as we can see, it's working. We should also see that drawing, what is the drawing name? Cross section's finished. Will also be locked if we're going to have a look at it on BIM 360. We should see the sheet set is locked, and also I need to regen on that. That should be the drawing it's coming from, not the other one. Yeah, it's locked that as well. So that happens automatically. The drawing lock, with the sheet set lock, you've got to change that little switch. All right. The other thing that it now supports, and I hadn't heard of people asking for this, but they have apparently, is you can now read in a reference template from BIM 360 as well. So for those using reference templates, you can now store them up on there. So for those who don't know what they are, we'll talk about them when we start the process. So if I go to the Manage tab, here's a reference template I can read in. Add one to this drawing, and BIM 360 again. Where I'm going. Cast. There is a DWT file here. So this is actually one of the DWT files that comes with the ANZ country kit. This is the Victoria Roads one. I'm going to open that and just take a moment to come through. So what it is it's only a partial template. It has some additional styles in it that you can simply read into the drawing when you might want your long sections and cross sections to look like the Vic Road style. Styles, so you can save your drawings looking like that. So if we go to the settings tab here, I don't want to change the drawing settings, but I am going to bring in all of those styles for the long sections and cross sections and things like that. We'll go OK there, and we should see that it'll work. And this apparently did not work before 2021.1 using BIM 360. Now it does. We'll just prove that it does in a moment. Getting close to time, but there's only one more thing to look at after this. Okay, you can see it's actually changed my standard corridor style there to have the purple dots on it, which I don't particularly like, but that was obviously part of that template, Vic Roads one. And now I'll have, if I go and have a look at my settings here for, say, the long sections, my profile view styles, there are the Victoria Roads profile view styles. and they've got the little symbol there that shows that they are a, let's hover over it, probably tell you. Where is it? No, it's not going to do it now. There we go. I should tell the reference template it's coming from there, which as you can see is in my Bin 360 folders. So that's what a reference template does if you ever wondered, and now they can be up on Bin 360. So the last thing to look at is about some rail bands that they've added in. Now the capability for these have been added in, but there are no styles yet. So again, 2022 ANZ Country Kit, hopefully we'll have these styles made. I've just put some made up quickly some styles in here. So what they are is a cant band. So for a rail situation, you don't have super elevation, you have cant when it goes around the corner. So on the alignment here, we did have an alignment label style that showed the cant in this way. It's not a percentage crossfall, it's a height difference between the lowest rail and the highest rail is what cant is. That's how it's calculated. And so now we've got the ability to see that in a band. But what we've also got, and this might be useful for other people, is the speed band. Now I did test this with a non-rail alignment and it works there as well. So at the moment, I've got an 80 kilometre per hour zone and I've got a 65 kilometre per hour zone. And this is what it uses to work out its either super elevation or cant tables, what to use. So that's looking at 255. What have we got at 350? So let's go to say let's go to 400. So we might make a new zone between that 225 and 400, shall we? So we're going to pick our alignment. And we'll go to the alignment properties and on to the design criteria. Here it is, and it's the design speeds. That's what's being reported in that band. And so if we want a new one, we can hit new. We'll put it, where's it put it? Oh, let's put it in there. That's a strange place to put it. Yeah, I want to put it in the middle. So if you hit the plus there we go. And no, it's still put it at the beginning. All right, let's just put it in anyway. That's going to be 80. We'll make this say you're 70. No, 72, 75. And the start station for this will be, you can pick on screen if we like, but I'm going to actually go and type it in because I have 400. So 4, okay. No, it didn't actually put it at the beginning. It put it, it just put it in there. So I put the start station on it, then it figured it out. Okay, so let's put it back out. Well, so it was 65. That one we want 75, and this one we want 80. Okay, so that's what I was aiming for in the beginning, and through to 65. Cool. All right, so we go okay, and we should find that that band is then updated to show us those graphically, which I personally, as you can see, find easier than working on a table when it puts in the information in funny places in the table to begin with. However, that makes it very easy to see what we're talking about. It's all on the long section, and that does work for non-rail alignments. So for a normal roading alignment, we can now get a band that shows the speed zones that you've been using for your design. All right, so back to the PowerPoint. That's the end of what we wanted to get through to. So the next thing would be, are there any questions? So if I bring up my little band here, let's see, has anybody got anything in Q&A? Not that I can see. What about the chat? If you've got any questions now, throw it into the chat. Anything that we've covered. Doesn't look like. Oh, hi, Javier. No, that looks good. I don't think people have put any questions in there currently. However, if you do have additional questions, or if you want to have a look at our upcoming webinars to begin with, Expressions. Yeah, we'll have a look. Sorry, Javier's just asking a question there about expressions in bands. I'm not sure that has been released yet, but I'll talk to you about that later. A2ktechnologies.com.events, .com.au/events. That's the website if you want to go and look at upcoming webinars. But what I was wanting to show you was the down here. If you've got any additional questions on anything that we've looked at just in this little session, you can drop an email to info@a2ktechnologies.com.au, and actually any questions you've got related to the new version of Civil 3D, I'd be pleased to look at as well if you do. Other than that, thank you for tuning in today. We're just about at the end of time, so I'll thank you for joining us, and we'll catch you on the next one of these. Thanks a lot.